Guys ever heard people talking about macros and all the stuff related to macronutrition? And maybe you've wondered how they actually fit into fat loss or even what the heck macros are all about. Or maybe even worse, you've tried tracking macros but still aren't seeing the results you want. Let me go ahead and show you why most people actually get macros absolutely wrong and how understanding them can actually help you lose fat while still enjoying the foods that you love. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know about macros, what they are, why they matter, and how they can help you to lose fat without giving up carbs or going low fat or eating so much protein that you feel like you're going to turn into a piece of meat. So if you've been struggling to lose weight because you've been cutting out entire food groups, or you've maybe tried all of the overly restrictive diets, or maybe you've even tried all of the new we're just going to say it, the new fads like GLP-1s that are diabetic chemicals designed to help you to reduce your appetite. And maybe at this point, you're feeling like you're looking for more of a long-term healthy solution where you can lose fat, you can get in shape, and you're not requiring harsh chemicals, supplements, and all of that so that you can actually keep the weight off. If so, go ahead and drop the word macros in the comments, or you can DM me if that works better for you. I'm going to send you over my free fat loss foods cheat sheets, okay? They're going to help you to see exactly what to eat and how much of it so that you can lose fat and actually keep it off without a single bit of food avoidance. So if you're new to the channel or if you are coming back, welcome either way. My name is Lance and I help busy professionals, specifically those over 30, to transform their bodies for good. So not in the short term, temporary weight loss, or what I like to call the temporary makeover. And this means no more crash diets, no more all or nothing workout plans, and no more yo-yo cycles. Over the past 20 years, I know it's been a long time, but since 2005, I've helped hundreds upon hundreds of clients just like you to finally lose the weight and keep it off while still enjoying their favorite foods and, dare I even say, actually liking the process. Now, again, I know that might sound foreign to you, but stay here. You're in the right place. I'm going to explain exactly how to do that and give you some insight into how I live and how my clients have lived over the last 20 years. So, with that being said, I want to start by telling you a little secret. I didn't always understand macros either, okay? Especially in the beginning, whenever I first started out my personal training career, I understood the premise of macros, but I really didn't understand how it all fit together. So when I first started, I really thought that fat loss was really all about eating clean, avoiding certain foods and cutting out carbs, cutting out sweets, cutting out treats. In fact, one of my old clients, one of my favorite people that I worked with, she is the one who kind of filled me in on her notion before working with me, was always that she was kind of taught, and she made it a funny way, but she was always taught, if it tastes good, spit it out. It can't be good for you. And so for me, that was kind of really how I was taught as well in the beginning of my personal training career. So, unfortunately, it really, it wasn't until much later that I finally figured out. And so for me, I would avoid pizza nights. I would skip the birthday cakes. I would carry, this was the worst, I would carry Tupperware with chicken and broccoli everywhere I went. For me, it was a lot of, chicken and rice. And unfortunately, not a lot of places would have microwaves and things like that. So you end up eating cold chicken and rice and broccoli quite often. It was, as you might imagine, not super fun. And so, of course, I would lose some body fat from this. And of course, I was able to put on muscle when I actually got my calories right, but I was miserable. Let's just call it what it was. I was in misery. And the second that life got in the way, which was often, whenever you're in your 20s and you're newlywed and you're trying to build a business and all this stuff, the second life got in the way, like a vacation or a holiday or just work stress, I would pretty much gain it all back and then some. So for me, it kind of felt like I just wasn't disciplined enough, which always kind of led me to feel like, well, I just got to find something that's going to work better, something that's going to allow me to stick with this and still be rigid enough to get me these great results. Because for me, I was being influenced by other personal trainers who were more in the bodybuilding scene. I was being influenced even by a lot of the nutrition certifications that are out there that are basically teaching that low calories, 1,200 to 1,500 calories, avoiding these foods are what it's going to take. And so that's basically what I believed. It wasn't until I learned, actually, though, how macros really work that everything for me changed. Even more so when I understood macros in such a way that I began to understand what we now call the 80-20 rule of flexible eating. Okay, now I'm not going to dive into all of that today. You're going to get a little bit of a premise of it. But I realized that fat loss wasn't really about eating perfectly or avoiding certain foods. I even realized that there was no such thing as good foods or bad foods. There was only nutrient-dense foods, which are whole foods, and calorie-dense foods, which typically, were foods that were more fun foods, like processed foods, sodas, let's say, breads and things like that. Things that are typically things that you want to avoid if you're on a diet. And, for me, what really helped me to learn is that I learned that it was all about balance and safe calorie deficits. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. But once I understood finally how to balance my proteins, my carbs, my fats for my goal specifically, and learn how to fit in foods like pizza and ice cream for me, which were kind of staples that constantly led me to, to go astray. That's when I actually was able to keep the extra body fat off. Okay, now that might sound foreign, like, well, wait a second. You learned how to fit in pizza and ice cream and that led to better results? Yeah, it not only led to better results, but it also led to results that I was able to keep. Whereas when I was avoiding those foods, what would typically happen is I would daydream about those foods and, nonstop, and I would wait for my cheat meal or cheat day, and I would overindulge because I was missing out all week. And I don't know if you guys can relate or not. Maybe you have way more discipline and willpower than I do, but for me, I was miserable, and all I was thinking about nonstop was food. It's kind of like when you're broke, when you don't have enough money. It's not like you're thinking about money all the time because you're rich and wealthy. It's because you don't have enough, so therefore you're thinking about what you don't have enough of. Well, this was the exact same premise. Because I was constantly deprived of the foods that I grew up on, whether we call them comfort foods or what have you. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to eat all the foods that you grew up on all the time, but what I am telling you is that if you're avoiding those foods that you deem to be normal, and you're avoiding them all the time, you can probably imagine you're going to feel pretty deprived. And if you get far enough into your journey and you're feeling pretty deprived, chances are you're going to end up caving and you're going to end up binging. Or at least that's what I used to do, and that's what a lot of my clients used to do. So I'm going to teach you exactly what I do and what my clients do now. So let's go ahead and dive into the macro talk and why they are the key to sustainable fat loss. So we're going to go ahead and break down all this. I'm going to go pretty quickly through this for you guys. But very first thing is, what are macros and why do they matter? Well, what you need to know is that macros are short for macronutrients, and they're made up of proteins, carbohydrates, and fat. But then we have our fourth hidden macronutrient, which is alcohol. And it's the fourth hidden macro as it has no nutritional value, but yet it does take up 7 calories per gram of alcohol, okay? So fat loss only occurs when we're in a calorie deficit. That's the first thing you need to understand, which means that we are consuming fewer calories, we're eating fewer calories than what we're using or burning each day. Now, a lot of people, whenever they think about burning calories, they're thinking about what they do in exercise. They're not really aware of how many calories are being burned when you're thinking, when you're at rest, when you're sleeping, walking. All of these things get added up into what's known as your total daily energy expenditure. And if you are eating fewer calories than your total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories you're burning when you're active, when you're at rest, all the things, you're going to lose body fat as long as it's a safe deficit and you don't have a bunch of metabolic stuff going on. So, no time to explain that on this video. I'll explain it on many others. So with that being said, when you understand how each macronutrient works and its purpose, you no longer have to avoid foods like what we've done before, and you don't have to be afraid of eating the wrong things like pretty much all of my 20s were. So the other cool thing is that you can simply make sure that the total makeup of your macro blends keep you full, you keep you satiated and within your calorie balance. And when you are doing all of that, you're going to lose weight, but you're going to do it without the rigidness and food avoidance. So what you want to understand is that macronutrients are essentially the same way as what you would have with, well, I'll explain that in a minute. I'll explain it better here in a second. So let me show you the old way. The old way is eat this meal plan and you'll lose weight. And what that means is if it's not on the meal plan, you don't eat it. Meaning you're not going to eat your cookies, you're not going to have soda, you're not going to have a glass of beer or a glass of wine because it's not on the meal plan. And if you eat something not on the meal plan, you're going to gain weight and you were not compliant, okay? Now, the new way is to understand macros or macronutrients so that you can create more flexibility and long-term success. So what you need to know about macronutrients is that much like dollars can be made up of nickels, dimes, and quarters, calories are made up of macros or macronutrients. When you balance your macros, it's going to let you eat the foods that you love and still hit your goals. Let me explain. So your macros defined are going to be your proteins are 4 calories per gram, okay? Your carbs are 4 calories per gram also. Fats are going to be higher at a little over double at 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is going to be 7 calories per gram. So rather than counting calories or counting macros or tracking calories, if we simply track our macros, not only is it going to keep us within our calorie budget, if you will, so that we can be in a fat loss state, but it's also going to help us to be more nourished. Because one thing that I see a lot, or that I should say that I've seen a lot in my 20 years of fitness coaching, is that a lot of people will get the calorie part down where they're just like, well, you got to be in a calorie deficit, so I'm just going to cut my foods out. I'm just going to eat a lot less. And what happens is they're starving all the time because they're not getting enough protein. They're not changing the physique because they're not getting enough protein. They're usually not working out. And if they are working out because they're lacking protein and enough calories, they're losing weight, but they're also just looking like a smaller version of when they were overweight. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was carrying 35 to 30, well, the heaviest I was about 40 pounds overweight. And when I was 40 pounds overweight, if you would have said, hey, do you like how you look? I would have said, absolutely not. And if you were to say, well, what if I helped you to just look a smaller version of what you look like right now? I'd be like, no way. Don't sign me up for that. I don't like my shape. I don't want to look like that. And that's basically what conventional weight loss is. Whereas body recomposition, totally different. Body recomposition, we're going to make sure that you're not just eating minimal calories so you can just drop as much weight as possible. We're going to make sure that you are nourishing your workouts, you're fueling your day and your workout so that not only are you losing body fat, notice I didn't say weight, because if you lose weight, it might be water, it might be muscle, it might be because you went to the bathroom, it might be because you are losing fat, but the scale itself is not going to tell you those things. If you're under eating and you're undernourished, or another word of saying is malnourished because you're not getting enough protein, or if you're doing like the keto thing, you're not getting enough carbs and fiber, you are going to be leaving fat loss on the table, number one. And number two, you're also going to be losing lean body mass, which is going to keep your metabolism higher, okay? So without sticking on this too long, if you focus on macronutrient balance instead of just weight loss and minimal calories, not only are you going to lose the pounds that you want to lose, you're going to look better in doing so. You're going to have a better frame physique. You're going to have more muscle on you, which is going to it's going to keep your metabolism higher so that you don't have to go into super low calories just to maintain your weight. Now, if you do it my way, you're also going to do a reverse diet after you do your fat loss phase so that you can get your calories back up to what would be deemed as normal. And this means that if you lose, let's say 30 pounds of fat and you're stuck because, we've had you down, let's say 1,400 calories, Most people, this is where they get screwed up. They regain it because they don't reverse diet to get their calories back up. And now you're trying to maintain your new body weight on, let's say, 1,400 calories instead of where your body weight should be at, your calories should be at, which is probably over 2,000 if you're a woman, over 3,000 if you're a man. And this means that you're going to end up maintaining your body weight with a lot more food. And a lot more food, especially doing it the way that we teach, means you're going to be more satiated, more satisfied. You're going to be less tempted to go off the rails. You're not going to feel as hungry all the time, which means that you have a better chance of maintaining this weight loss for much longer, okay? So the whole key with this is that when you understand macros and how to balance them, you are not going to fall prey to what most people fall prey to when they're doing the standard weight loss thing, okay? All right, the second thing is the role of each macro in fat loss. So proteins, what I want you to aim for is 1 gram per pound of your lean body mass, which is what your weight is minus how many pounds of body fat you're carrying. That requires a little bit more math. The easier way is just to do 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. And this means that if you're, let's say, 160 pounds and you want to be 120 pounds, you're going to do 120 grams of protein. Very, very simple. Now, what is protein going to do? It's going to repair and grow tissues, including muscles. I mean, that's a given. And then it's going to help you to burn more calories because of TEF, which is the thermic effect of feeding. All it simply means is that if you're going to eat 100 calories in protein, about 28 to 30 of those calories are going to be used, aka burned, in converting that protein into energy and the digestion process. So whereas fats, if you eat fats, let's say 100 calories of fats, you're going to only get about 1 to 4% of those calories converted into burning them because of digestion and delivery. So protein and fiber are going to be much more thermogenic, all right? So which is why we call this the thermic effect of feeding, because again, it is going to be burning more calories just by you eating it. So protein is a great one to make as kind of the staple of your macros. Now, the second thing it's going to do is to keep you feeling fuller and do it longer. And lastly, it's going to, not that I'm listing everything, but it's going to support muscle retention during fat loss. Now, muscle retention during fat loss is very, very crucial because if you're losing body fat and you're losing your lean body mass, your muscle, you're going to require significantly less calories because muscle, again, is more thermogenic or more metabolically active is probably the more accurate way to say that, compared to fat especially. And so what we want to do is we want to keep as much muscle on you as possible so that we are effectively burning calories without having you in low poverty calories to do it, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if this is making sense, guys. All right, so the second thing that we're going to focus on is carbohydrates. Now, again, a lot of you guys have been told that just cutting carbs is like, basically weight loss on easy mode. But the reality is that the only reason that works so well is because carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. The average adult in America consumes 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates. So if, let's just say at 200 grams of carbs a day, times 4 calories, we're looking at, if you do full keto, you've just cut 800 calories right off your day, okay? So what happens is you are reducing your calories by 800. Of course, your body is going to let go of body fat because of that. The issue is if you're like me and you love carbohydrates, or if you're like me and you're surrounded by carbohydrates and you don't want to convince yourself not to eat them or to not like them, you end up getting surrounded by bread and cereal, cookies, wine, beer. Literally everything has carbs these days that we enjoy. And you're going to try and convince yourself to be done being attracted to carbohydrates? It's not going to last too long if you're anything like me. Now, maybe you've got all the willpower and discipline in the world, but I don't. I don't want to live that way. So what happens is when you go back to normal, you're putting on those 800 calories right back into your day, but you're not just putting them back in. If you've lost body weight and you've lost lean body mass, which happens when most people do deep calorie deficits, now your body is only needing much fewer calories, but now you're going back to normal with much higher calories. And this means that now what used to be normal for you, your body now perceives as a calorie surplus. Surplus just simply means that we're eating more calories than we can burn, so therefore your body begins to store body fat, okay? This is why cutting out carbs might work in the short term, but none of my clients are going to do that if they're truly looking for long-term weight loss or long-term fitness, which is all my program, Joyfully Fit 365, is actually about. So why do we need carbs? Well, first of all, carbs should take up about 40 to 50% of your calorie intake, okay? There's a few easy ways to figure this out. If you wanted to figure out how many carbs you should have in a given day, simplest way to do this is to do 1 gram of protein per your goal body weight, and then, figure out how many calories that is. So again, if it's 120 pounds, 120 grams of protein times 4 calories, let's say, what is that, 480? So 480 calories of protein. Then, let's say that if you figure out how many calories you need, let's say 1,800, we do 1,800 minus the 480 calories, and that gives you the total calories that you need to divide for carbs and fats. I know I'm giving you a lot of math, but hopefully this is making sense. I really want to add value when you guys are showing up to watch these videos, so you're not just going, oh, that's a good point. You're going, oh, wow, I can apply that and actually get results out of it, okay? So the simple way is we subtract the protein calories and we're left with fats and carbs. Now, the simple way to do this is to figure out your fats first, because you want between 30 to 40% of your calories to come from fats. So what I would typically recommend is, let's say, choose what, if you like a lot of fats, then you're going to go on the high side of 40. If you don't care for fats, you want more carbs, you're going to go to the low side of 30. So let's say that you want more carbs, you choose 30% fats, you're going to take 30%, okay? And you're going to multiply that for your fats. You're going to multiply that by your total calories of what you should be for a deficit, okay? I'm not going to teach you how to do that on this video, but this means that you now have your fats figured out, because it's your total calories times 0.30, that's your total fat calories, and then you already have your protein. So then basically what you do is you take those and you subtract it from your total calories. That gives you how many carbs you should have left, okay? Now, with that being said, back to carbs. Carbs, you want about 40 to 50% of your total intake should be carbs. Carbs are your body's preferred energy source. Number one, you need to know that. They help you to feel satisfied and prevent muscle breakdown. That's pretty crucial. Fibrous carbs are a staple. When you cut out carbs, you are effectively cutting out fiber, and fiber is so gosh dang important when it comes to fat loss, digestion, your health, even gut health for anxiety. Guys, cutting out carbs is not the freaking way to do this, I promise you. So fibrous carbs are going to aid in digestion and support fat loss. Protein and fiber are like the two magic ingredients to make sure that you are maximizing fat loss through food, okay? And then also low glycemic index carbs, which I'll tell you more about in just a minute. Those are ideal for keeping insulin spikes at bay and reducing chances of symptoms of diabetes, which almost every American is pre-diabetic nowadays, 70%, okay? So when you are doing carbs the right way, you don't have to worry about the diabetes situation or insulin spikes like a lot of people, or insulin resistance you might have heard. This is what most people think happens when they eat carbs. The reality is that most people are eating what's known as high glycemic index carbs. And when you do that, you are going to get the blood sugar spikes, which leads to insulin spiking. Insulin is going to help to transport the glucose into the fat cell, which instead of being stored into the muscle, it means that we're going to be storing body fat, okay? So the point is that when we eat low glycemic index carbs, which if you do want to know a list of how do I know what good carbs are, well, you can simply click the description box below. There's a link, or you can comment macros, and I will send you over I have 7 cheat sheet guides with all of the foods that you should eat, making it very simply what you can eat, how much of it you should eat, like proteins, fibrous carbs, glycemic index foods, healthy fats, even foods that you can eat at restaurants so that you can lose weight. If you want that, comment macros below and I'll send you over those guides. There's 7 cheat sheets you don't want to live without, I promise you. All right, lastly, guys, is on fats. Fats, like I mentioned, we want to have about 30 to 40% of our intake. They're going to be crucial for hormone balance and vitamin absorption. They're going to help your body to store energy efficiently and support your body's insulation and metabolism. I'm not going to go much deeper into that one. Now, why is balancing macros better than cutting them out? Well, cutting carbs, fats, or even going super low calorie is going to slow your metabolism, and it typically leads to deprivation, to burnout, malnourishment, and all the things, okay? And it's just simply not necessary. I don't want to do anything that's not necessary. Balancing macros means that you can enjoy your favorite foods too, which is pretty great. You get to feel full and you get consistent results without feeling deprived. That to me is I would say a pretty staple thing for me to need. If I want to lose body fat and keep it off, I need to be able to enjoy the foods that are causing that fat loss so that I don't feel, tempted to deviate from that plan, because that's the whole issue. A lot of people can't lose weight simply because they cannot adhere to a program or system or a meal plan long enough to get the body fat off, okay? So now the other thing that you want to know is that tracking macros isn't much different than scanning your bank account before making a purchase, for clothing or for food or whatever. And again, it's going to keep you within your calorie deficit for fat loss without obsessing over calories or avoiding foods that you actually enjoy, okay? So hopefully this is making sense. So the point is that when you understand macro balance, you get to infuse your favorite foods within your calorie budget, and it doesn't prevent you from losing body fat, and it keeps you adherent to the program so that you're able to lose more body fat. So cutting out carbs is not the solution. Incorporating carbs in the right way is the solution, okay? So that's everything there, guys. If you are tired of guessing what to eat, or feeling like, you have to cut out entire food groups to lose weight, or cutting out restaurants, cutting out your favorite drink, liquid calories, all the things, guys, I've heard it all. If you're tired of doing all of that stuff, go ahead and drop the word macros below in the comments, or you can DM me. That's totally cool too. I'm going to send you those free fat loss food cheat sheets. I made them specifically for my private clients and my Joyfully Fit 365 system, and I want you to have them because they are going to help you to learn how to balance your macronutrition and finally get results that stick, okay? I promise you it works so well. So what I want you to remember is that fat loss is not about avoiding carbs or pizza or living off of bland chicken and broccoli and rice like I used to do. It really is about understanding how your body works and fueling it in a way that helps you to lose fat, build muscle, and enjoy your life. So if you're ready to stop struggling with the quick fixes and the short-term weight loss results, and you're ready to start seeing the real lasting results, go ahead and drop the word macros below or DM me and I'll get those cheat sheets right over to you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but my goal here, and hopefully this was valuable enough for you to feel like you can share this for others, but my goal is so that anybody who shows up to these videos are learning, because these are the same things that I teach my coaching clients on how to get epic results without living a life that feels miserable, okay? I've done that all through my 20s, and now here I am dang near 40, and I'm in better shape at almost 40 than I was all through my 20s, okay? And if you desire that and you want to have food freedom, go ahead and DM me. Let's chat about if and how I can help you and what it looks like in my Joyfully Fit 365 program so that you can finally do exactly what my program is, get fit in a joyful way, okay? So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button if you feel like this was valuable. And please hit the share button so that more people can learn the truth that they don't need to go on keto. They don't need to do Ozempic. They don't need to do shots and pills and potions and shakes just to lose body fat, especially if they're looking to keep it off. So thanks guys again so much. Have an awesome night, and I will see you guys